What's good, everybody? Welcome to my parents' basement. I'm your host, Rob G, filmmaker living in his parents' basement, documenting the struggle so that you can avoid mistakes I've made or get yourself out of a similar situation. We're going to get out of this together, and we're going to do it with filmmaking. Today, as I've promised, we will be talking about a decision that I've made that got me into the situation I'm currently in. Now, it's important that you know, the situation I'm in is not solely the result of me being a filmmaker. However, that didn't help, and some of my naivete and just downright ignorance led to bad career choices that did not help me at any point along the way. Of course, success is relative. There's no success that I've had in my career so far that was so large it would have prevented me from ending up in my parents' basement, obviously. Don't think that I'm bragging here, right? But the other thing that I want you to understand is I'm not bitching. My family, my immediate family, really needed some help. My parents were really there for me, and so I'm very thankful to them for doing that. I don't think that this is the place that I saw myself ending up when I started out as a filmmaker. And if I want to continue as a filmmaker, I need filmmaking to get me out of this shit, right? Okay, so today's the day that I'm taking responsibility for killing Out the Box TV. Whew, that was tough. I did not expect that to hurt so much when it came out of my mouth. Now you're wondering, well, how did you kill Out the Box TV? We took it from YouTube, where we had hundreds of thousands of views and had garnered an audience that was faithful to the show, that actually interacted with the video posts and wondered when the next show was going to come out. And we wanted to figure out a way to monetize that more quickly. We chased the money. We really felt in our hearts that we had a good show that people wanted to watch, that sponsors would pay for if we were given the option to put sponsors on there. And sponsors at the time, they were like, we're not paying for your YouTube show, buddy. So I was watching TV early one morning, right? Because my son was sick. It was this softball show, and it was a local softball show. It was on ESPN. And then after the show, there was this disclaimer that said this was a paid program. ESPN doesn't stand behind anything that was in this. And I was like, man, that's brilliant. My theory was this guy was making money, but that's probably not true knowing what I know now. Get money, get out the box was our lifestyle. And the Ion Network, they had paid programming slots at the time. We went out immediately and started selling airtime. Those same people who blew us off or said, come back, when it's a little bit more solid. Once we had a television show, those people were way on board. It was confidence inspiring. We sold all the 30-second commercial slots. We decided that we were going to have 2-minute commercial breaks. So we were going to sell each of these commercial slots for $200 a piece. Let's see, we had 3 breaks per show, $800 per break. So $2,400 a show. For a show that we were only paying $470 an episode. Our time slot was originally right up against TRL and 106 in Park. We bought 30 shows. I think the reason why we bought 30 also is because that might have been the smallest contract that Ion allowed for paid programming at the time. Whoa, that number's scary right now! Everything was going good. We were making money. What happened? Well, we did not bulletproof the success of our show. Each of us on the team, Sid, myself, JoJo, we all thought we were invincible. And I think we let our guard down. We were not prepared for what happened next. And cue the dramatic music. I went to Sid's house to pick him up, right? And he came down to the car. This dude could barely walk when he got into the car. He said he was just feeling tired. He was a little sick, and that like his roommate had been smoking cigarettes in the shower, and that is a pretty putrid smell. It can make anybody sick. But he said that was what he was dealing with at the time. So that night, I got a call from Sid's girlfriend, Sid was in the hospital. They had to take him out in an ambulance. So I went down to the hospital. They had this dude with tubes down his throat. Obviously, he's in a coma. At that moment, I thought, holy shit, is he gonna die? There's no show. There's no film company. There's only this fear that one of your good friends might be dying. Here's where the rubber meets the road, right? Instead of putting together a best of show, instead of putting together an unseen clips episode, hell, instead of going out and interviewing a couple people for the show myself, I chose to put out reruns. And the new sponsors were not happy because they wanted to be on new shows. They didn't pay to be on the same show twice. They paid to be on 2 different shows. Was that the mistake that undid us, though? Please. Sid pulled through fine, and we were all so relieved that he was feeling better. It's funny, like, they let him walk out of ICU. And to his credit, we ran right back into work. We went twice as hard at selling ads. I mean, we really stepped it up. Sid had found an appreciation for life at that time. Something really changed in him. But what happened next would leave us reeling. We were about 4 episodes into season 2 when Ion pulled the rug right out from underneath us. We were just finished with our 4th episode of season 2. I thought everything was on the up and up. But I got this phone call from Ion, and they said, "Hey, we're changing your time slot." I was like, "The fuck you just say? The fuck you say?" 3 p.m. was our time slot, up against TRL, 106th and Park. They moved us to 10:30 at night. Why do you not want a 10:30 p.m. slot if you are a show about music and club life culture? Because all of your audience is in the fucking club at 10:30 at night. So immediately I called our lawyer and said these people breached contract. My lawyer was not happy to inform me, but it sure didn't sound like he was crying when he said, "They have every right to change your time slot." When Out the Box TV was on air, channel listings were set actually a full month ahead of time. When you're clicking through the guide tells you the channel and then the TV shows that are in that channel. Well, when Ion changed our time slot, they didn't give us a month of preparation, right? What they did was they just said your next show is coming on at 10:30. So we couldn't even really promote to our audience that it was changing. Instead of trying to figure out how we could change that, I just said, look, I'm not going to pay for this. And so I breached contract. Phase 3 is back on YouTube. I wasn't happy to be back on YouTube. I was resentful as fuck. I was like, I'm better than this. Sid still wanted to make shows, but at the time, I'm thinking, oh, that's just Sid because he's a rapper. He wants to be on TV. He'll do whatever he can to stay in the spotlight. In retrospect, his attitude was much better about it than mine was. I chose to half step. I chose not to put my full effort and energy into Out the Box TV anymore. For me, it was already dead. We released a bunch of smaller videos at that point. Yeah, when they didn't get the views that I was looking for because we had totally neglected our YouTube channel while we were out searching for fame and fortune on TV, I just killed it. We are not in this business to give free publicity to rappers. I think in retrospect, it's pretty easy to say that if I had to do it over again, I would not have given up on YouTube. The biggest thing that I learned out of this whole experience was that you neglect the audience at your own peril. I think Out the Box TV, while it didn't define us, It was a part of what made our company special. It was the proof of our dedication to hustle. That show came on because we busted our ass to make it come on. The other thing that I learned out of this is that you have to plan for contingencies. There are gonna be times when the production gets away from you. Now, in contemplating a lot of these things, it's gonna be tempting for you just to throw your hands up and say, well, at that point, I guess I'm screwed. Do you want to give up? No, you don't want to give up. So instead of giving up, take this time right now to think how you can protect yourself from being in a position where you would have to make the choice to give up. And you're going like, okay, well, how can you predict the future? Well, you can't predict the future, but what you can do is you can plan for the eventualities that might occur. And the last thing I want to leave with you is that you cannot make knee-jerk reactions in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be about, okay, this happens, so now I have to do this. When something happens to you, take it in. Meditate on it for a little bit. Ponder, okay, what's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? That's it for this life's lesson. I hope you've learned a little something about what to do the next time you're given a shot. I know I'm not invincible. I know my shows are not invincible. And I know my family is counting on me to make this happen. I don't want to let them down. So I'm going to plan for the future. I hope you will too. All right, that's it. I'm Rob G. You're in my parents' basement with me. Get money. Get out of the basement. This is my hairline. It's a 37-year-old man hairline. I think that it's luxurious for 37. Look at that. Look at that. It's luxurious.